Welcome to today's deep dive. We're going to be talking about gratitude today.
Gratitude, yeah. Yeah, it's a fascinating topic.
It is, and we're using the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy's entry on gratitude as kind of our roadmap for today.
It really is a great resource for this, and it gets deep into the philosophy of it.
Deeper than I ever imagined. I had no idea there were like different types of gratitude.
Right, there are.
Yeah.
And our source material jumps right into that, defining two distinct types, propositional and prepositional.
Yeah, those sound pretty technical.
They do, but they're actually pretty straightforward once you wrap your head around them. So propositional gratitude is just, being thankful for something good that happened. Like, I'm grateful the sun is shining.
Oh, okay. So it's like just being happy about a state of affairs.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a general feeling of
But
thankfulness.
what's prepositional gratitude then?
Prepositional gratitude is being grateful to someone for something specific they did. Like, I'm grateful to my friend for helping me with my move. It adds that interpersonal element.
So it's not just about the good outcome, but about acknowledging the role another person played in making it happen.
Precisely. And this is where things get really interesting philosophically, because now we're wading into, like relationships, responsibility. It's not just being happy, it's potentially being indebted to someone.
Okay, yeah, that is where things start to feel a little sticky, I guess. Like, does getting a favor mean I automatically owe something in return?
That's the big question. And philosophers have been debating this for centuries. But even before we get there, we have to figure out when this kind of gratitude is even like warranted. It's not always as clear cut as it seems.
I bet. Like, what if I feel grateful to my dog for its unconditional love? Does that count, even though my dog isn't, like, a person?
That's a great example. And it gets to the heart of one of the first philosophical hurdles we encounter. Most philosophers say that for gratitude to be, truly owed, the benefactor needs to be an agent capable of intentional action. But there are some philosophers who believe we can feel genuine gratitude towards non-human entities.
Huh. So intent seems important. But what about unintended consequences? Like, someone does something that ends up benefiting me, even though they didn't uh, mean for that to happen. Do I still owe them gratitude?
Another great question. It's tricky. Think about it like this. If your friend accidentally spills coffee on you, ruining your shirt, but then that stain ends up covering up a much bigger stain that would have been impossible to get out, are you grateful to your friend for spilling on you?
Hmm. I'd be relieved, but grateful. I don't know.
Exactly. It's not so simple. This is why intent is such a big deal in philosophy of gratitude.
Wow. Okay. So intent matters. Are there any other conditions that need to be met for gratitude to be warranted?
Oh, absolutely. For instance, what if someone does something nice for you, but it's something they were obligated to do, like a lifeguard saving you from drowning? Do you owe them gratitude beyond just thank you?
Right. Right. It's like you wouldn't expect a postal worker to get showered with gifts just for delivering the mail.
Right. So this gets to another key philosophical debate. Is gratitude only owed for actions that go above and beyond the call of duty?
Okay. That's interesting. So we've got intent, obligation. What else do philosophers get hung up on when it comes to gratitude?
Well, there's the question of whether a benefit needs to be accepted for gratitude to be owed. Like, what if someone gives you a gift that you absolutely hate, but they put a lot of effort into it?
It's my nightmare. Like, I appreciate the thought, but true gratitude, I don't think so.
Exactly. It raises a lot of questions about, autonomy and free will. Can we truly be grateful for something that's, kind of forced on us?
My brain is already full, and we haven't even gotten to like what it means to express gratitude well.
I know, right? And that's where things get even more interesting. But we'll save that for the next part of our deep dive.
So, expressing gratitude, is there like a right way to do it?
Well, not necessarily one right way, but there are definitely more and less effective ways, I guess. It's about more than just saying thank you, although those words are important.
Yeah, sometimes I just feel like, the words aren't enough. Or I
Yeah.
get all flustered and end up saying something totally awkward.
Oh, I totally get it. It can be tricky. The good news is expressing gratitude well is something we can all, learn and get better at.
Okay, that's reassuring. So where do we even like start?
Well, first we need to understand that gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a whole response. Like it involves our thoughts, emotions, words, and actions.
Okay, so break it down for me. Like, what are the key elements of a grateful response?
So, our Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy source lays out four main categories: Cognitive, affective, communicative, and conative.
Wow, those are some big words. Let's take those one at a time. What are cognitive elements?
It sounds complicated, but it's really not. Basically, the cognitive elements are just the beliefs that underlie our feelings of gratitude. So, like, to feel grateful to someone, I first have to believe they actually did something good for me, right?
Yeah, makes sense. Can't be grateful for a favor that never happened.
Right. But it goes deeper than that. If someone helps me, I might start forming beliefs about their character. Like, maybe I conclude that they're, a generous person or kind or thoughtful.
Ah, okay. So gratitude is not just about like acknowledging a good deed, but about the beliefs we form about the person who did it.
Exactly. It shapes our perception of them. And, it can also shape how we see ourselves. Like if
Oh,
someone is kind to us, it can lead us to believe we're worthy of that kindness.
oh, interesting. So gratitude can be like a pretty powerful thing.
It really can.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to affective elements. This is the emotional side of gratitude.
This is where I feel more at home. I mean, gratitude's supposed to feel good, right? Warm and fuzzy, like joy, love, all that.
For sure, gratitude is usually associated with positive feelings, but it's not always that simple. Especially when someone has made a big sacrifice for us, we might feel other emotions too, like sadness or guilt, or even like a sense of awe at their generosity.
Yeah. Like once a coworker covered a huge project for me when I was dealing with a family emergency. I was super grateful, but also felt kind of guilty for putting that on them.
That's a perfect example. Gratitude isn't always just happy, happy. It can be a mix of things.
Right. So cognitive, affective, that brings us to actually expressing gratitude. That's where communicative comes in, right?
You got it. And this is the part some people really struggle with. Expressing gratitude well goes beyond just saying thank you.
Yeah, I'm one of those people sometimes I get so flustered I don't even know what to say.
Don't worry, you're not alone. The important thing is to, just be sincere. Like a simple thank you said with genuine feeling can mean a lot.
So it's not about grand gestures or buying expensive gifts or anything like that?
Not at all. It's about meaning it. And of course, sometimes actions do speak louder than words.
Yeah, like if a friend helps me paint my house, I might bake them cookies or offer to help them with their next project.
Exactly. And when those actions are paired with sincere words of thanks, it just makes it even more powerful.
Okay, so we've got thoughts, feelings, words. What's the last one? You said conative earlier?
Yes. Conative elements. This is all about how gratitude influences our actions. It's about how it motivates us to behave.
Hold on, didn't we already cover that when we talked about expressing gratitude? Like thanking someone is an action.
It is, but this is different. The communicative element is about expressing gratitude directly to the benefactor. The conative element is about how gratitude shapes our actions more broadly.
Okay, so it's not just about thanking the person, but how that gratitude makes us act toward other people too.
Exactly. It's like if someone does something amazingly kind for me, maybe I'll be inspired to be more helpful and generous toward others, even if those other people weren't involved in the original act.
So it's like gratitude creates a ripple effect. Like it makes us want to pay it forward.
I like that. Yeah, it's like that. And it makes us more aware of other people's needs too. We start to notice more opportunities to help.
Hmm. This is all so fascinating. But part of me is still stuck on that big question we posed at the beginning. Like, does gratitude actually create moral obligations? We've talked about all these different elements of gratitude, but do any of them, like, create a sense of duty or responsibility?
That's the perfect question to end on. And you know what? That's exactly what we'll be diving into in the next part of our deep dive.
All right, so the big question, does gratitude create moral obligations? Like, are we morally required to do something in return for an act of kindness?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And, like most things in philosophy, it's not exactly a simple yes or no answer.
Figures. So, where do we even begin to unpack this?
Well, first, we need to be clear about what we even mean by moral obligation. In everyday language, we use it kind of loosely, like, oh, I have an obligation to go to my friend's birthday party. But in philosophy, it's much heavier, I guess.
So not just like something it would be nice to do, but something we have to do, even if we don't really want to.
Exactly. A true moral obligation is like binding.
Mm-hmm.
It implies a duty, a responsibility, and, there can be moral consequences if we don't fulfill it.
Okay, I'm with you so far. So what do the people who believe gratitude does create moral obligations, what do they say?
Well, one of their main arguments is about fairness. Like, imagine someone does something nice for you, and you just take it and don't do anything in return. Doesn't that seem a little unfair? Kind of like you're taking advantage.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, it would feel wrong to just keep taking, and never uh, give anything back.
Right. And if we believe in, basic fairness, treat others how you want to be treated, then it makes sense that we should reciprocate kindness, keep things balanced.
It's like if everyone just took and no one gave back, the whole system would fall
No,
apart.
exactly. And then there's also the argument about preserving relationships. Think about your closest relationships, like with family, friends, partners. Those relationships depend on, mutual care and giving back and forth.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I wouldn't want to be friends with someone who was always doing things for me but never seemed to appreciate it or never did anything for me.
Right. Gratitude and the actions it inspires is like the glue that holds those relationships together.
So, yeah, I can see how gratitude could be seen as um, kind of crucial for keeping things running smoothly, both on a societal level and a personal level.
Totally. But of course, there's another side to this debate. There are plenty of people who are skeptical about gratitude creating moral obligations.
Okay, so what are their arguments? Why would someone not think gratitude equals obligation?
One big objection is about free will. If we truly have the ability to choose our actions freely, can we really be morally obligated to act out of gratitude? Doesn't that kind of contradict the whole idea of free will?
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, if I'm only helping someone because I feel like I have to, is it even really a kind act? Or am I just trying to avoid feeling guilty? Or avoid, like, social pressure?
Exactly. They'd say a true moral act should come from a genuine desire to do good, not because you feel obligated. Gratitude might inspire us, sure, but it shouldn't force our hand.
So it's better to, like, recognize the value of kindness and choose to do something kind back because we want to, not because we feel like we should.
That's the idea. And then there's another objection related to all those, those conditions we discussed earlier about when gratitude is owed. Remember how we said it's not always clear-cut?
Yeah, like intent, obligation, acceptance, all that stuff.
Right. Well, the skeptics would say that a lot of times those conditions aren't even met. Like if someone does something nice for you because it was their job, are you really morally obligated to do something back?
Okay, so there's a lot of gray area. It's not always easy to tell if and when gratitude should lead to action.
Definitely not. And honestly, that's what makes it so interesting to think about, because it forces us to examine our own experiences and really think about why we do what we do.
Yeah, this is making me think about all the times I've felt pressured to reciprocate a favor, even though I didn't really want to. Like when someone gets you a gift you don't like, but then you feel like you have to get them something back.
Yeah, that's a classic example of the social pressure side of things.
Hmm.
It's important to be mindful of our own boundaries and motivations.
So I guess after all this, we still don't have a clear-cut answer to our big question.
Nope. No easy answers in philosophy. It's a debate that's been going on for ages, and it'll probably keep going. But hey, at least now we have a better understanding of the complexities of it all, right?
I'd say so. This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about.
That's what we like to hear. And, at the end of the day, that's kind of the point of philosophy, isn't it? To ask better questions, challenge our assumptions, and just deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Huh.
So to all our listeners out there, as you go about your day, think about this. How will you approach gratitude now that you know all this? It's a question worth pondering. And as always, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure exploring this topic with you.